Do you hear that? Lieutenant? Lieutenant?
Oh! Hey!
Hey,
Don't move.
Whoa!
Lieutenant.
Who are you?
Don't shoot!
Who are you?
I'm American. Navy vet.
And what are you doing here, American Navy vet, huh? You filming us?
Why, you guys doing something film-worthy?
I asked you a question.
I'm just asking a question back.
Well, I got the gun swab, so who are you and what are you doing here?
Lieutenant.
My name's William Randa. Okay? Lieutenant Shaw?
Mm-hmm.
Look, I promise, I won't shoot you if you don't shoot me. Deal?
Okay. Still haven't answered my question. What are you doing here?
Well, you'd say I'm on a hunting expedition. I'm a cryptozoologist.
You're a cryptozoo... what?
Studies animals that don't exist.
Yeah. Atmospheric sampler? Spectrometer? Hey, is this a radiation monitor here?
Hey, easy.
Don't touch that.
Oh, sorry, I've never seen one before. Wanted to check it out. Because, it seems like maybe we're out here hunting for the same thing.
And what's that, Mr. Randa?
The truth.
John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.
She's not gone!
Jake. She's gone.
This is Black Knife.
Lost of his people.
There's no reasoning with them. They're all gonna die anyway.
What's left of the Chiricahuas?
With riddance to them.
He's saying the white people. They brought all this evil to his people.
We brought evil. Evil was here. You're the evil one.
He's saying that we brought the monsters.
You bring the monsters. Tell them they took our people too. Tell them they took my wife. Tell them that they took my wife.
Shut up. There's no reasoning with them.
Tell them what I said.
Kill us now.
No. I'm from a different place. I took this form so I could walk among you.
You should have told me.
I didn't know if I could heal this body. If I would wake up.
Aunt.
He wants to know where you're from.
Sungshi, bianshi, anshi, hadashi.
What'd she say?
She says she came from a place above the stars.
What does that mean? Another world? What do you mean? What does that mean? Another what?
Says you shouldn't talk.
You mean I shouldn't talk? I got questions.
You're a guest of the chief.
Now I'm a guest? I thought I was a prisoner. What the hell am I?
All right, you're both big men, great warriors. Can we just listen to the woman tell her story, or whatever she is? What are they doing here?
They want gold.
Well, that's just ridiculous. What are they gonna do? Buy something?
It's as rare to them as it is to you. What about my grandpa?
What about my wife? What about the other people? Are they still alive?
If they are, they won't be for long. They're studying your weaknesses. These are just scouts. If we let them leave, they'll come back with more, and there will be no survivors. It's what they did to my people. I came here to make sure it would not happen again, but we have to work together.
He says his people will join her.
Join her? What's she gonna do? Where are you gonna go?
We can find them, He knows where they are.
No, I don't. Yeah, I can't remember anything. You know, I couldn't even remember my own name.
Yeah. He says they will take care of that.
Happy now?
Follow with the others. We'll be there at sunset.
You druids think you're like the wind. Like earthquakes. But you're not, are you? How can you be?
You see it very clearly. The gods gave you good eyes. Watch very carefully.
Hey, welcome. Andre Hodge, Infinite Potential Healing, servant of truth with you once more. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey, your time during this era of your journey where you may be at your peak awareness so far is very, very precious. So however it is that I've come to be in your world and impart what I offer and let alone if you accept what I say and integrate it and it is an ally to your expansion of your awareness during these really epic times. I appreciate it and I honor you for whatever you've had to endure to get to here now. I really hope what I offer you is very profound and an ally in your navigation of our world at this time and the greater scales that I get into. I hope you're expanding at a parabolic rate like the rest of us, and when I say the rest of us, some pretty epic people I have the good fortune and honor of interacting with that have been allies for this really rich time and in the trenches of truth going up against what has felt like a superior opposition that have had a massive advantage. But I'm really hoping that this and what I've sort of alluded to, I'm definitely not here to offer hope and stuff like that or to add fuel to the pandemic of kumbaya out there in the community and stuff. I'm not here to offer data for the sake of it or my attitude and all that, but it really feels like we've had some massive victories that have been brutal. I don't know what it's been like for you personally, but I offered Galactic Special Forces 32 prior to this. It's interesting for me. This will be the third time that I've tried to do this one, which is interesting in itself because I really like just sitting down and letting it rip, and I try not to do too many edits, and if I have a bathroom break that might be why I looked a bit different, and if there's mosquitoes around or if I just pause a little bit, I'll just try and edit it down to make it a bit shorter. Or one of the things that I don't know that you know, but I've dealt with a lot of highly aware beings and stuff, and there can be this psychic dyslexia, right? So some of the linguistics might come out not entirely accurate, but say if I'm holding all the data in my mind's eye sort of thing of what I want to express, there can be a incongruence of that. So my good fortune of over the many years that I'll offer a bit of data relative to this is having the privilege of operating with many very talented beings and stuff, and one thing I know is that I'm always able to tune into sort of what is being said. There can be a incongruence, like I said, about what's actually being expressed, but I would offer just, you know, they can be like a bit of a pothole in a road of truth or perspectives and stuff, and it's funny, like when I go through my videos I feel like I'm in the zone and stuff like that, but then it's like some of the things I say might not be, like the numbers might be one off or something, and it's just, I find it fascinating, but what I'm trying to say is always in the frequency of what I offer. So I'm just offering that there's this concept called psychic dyslexia. So if you don't trust your instincts and stuff, and you go by every syllable said by anyone, you might feel the thing that's off, but you should know the data if you've invested in a lot of concepts and shows and all that I sort of refer to. I don't know if I left it in the last one, but I said, right, this is my third time doing this one, right? And so I've done a couple of efforts to put stuff out and stuff, and I think one of the ones that I didn't do, I was talking about Galactic Special Forces Part 8 instead of 9 and stuff. So I'll just offer that could be a potential. I could have psychic dyslexia, holding all the variables in my mind of what I want to get out, knowing that there's all these variables going on, including influences and stuff. But I'm feeling really good at the moment and stuff, and I actually, just the last few days, I came off doing a earth pranic healing, and I've done many of them, and I'm very vague on them deliberately. I don't really want to get any more attention that I've had and stuff, and it's been, like I said, pretty brutal, and we've been hardcore in the trenches and stuff, and it's fascinating. Like I said, this is the third try to get this out, but it's not that it's bad or anything. I love just doing my best and seeing what happens, but it's fascinating that I'm doing this after I did that earth pranic healing, because it has a degree of relationship with a lot that's going on, what I said in Galactic Special Forces 32, and relating to the Dreamtime and what's going on with Earth Mother and stuff, because one of the reasons why I did that was I offered a lot in the second part of that release 32 about the structures, and I want to revisit that, but I might do it at the end because I want to get the main content out. I'm not sure when it's going to get dark and stuff like that, and it's taken a bit to set up for this, and just appreciate how good I feel at the moment and how good it feels to be here. And like, it's not been easy for me to get established and stuff, and yeah, I don't think many other people in the community have had the resistance to say someone like this doing it. And I'm not here to play the victim and stuff. It's literally, like, I've used the metaphor of being a hen in the fox house, and I love chickens. Like, I love the chicken community and stuff like that. The birds are a gift to us. Like, they're amazing at what they create and produce for us and stuff. And one of the missions, I'll just say, in the last couple of months, we upgraded all the animals so that they're protected from the bullshit being rolled out at the moment, right? So we pure source upgraded them and stuff for their protection and stuff, right? So I haven't mentioned that, but it's been one of the variables. There's been so much, and we're being, you know, savaged and tried to be taken out and stuff, and I've had to be a bit elusive and not so much on guard, but I just random and pattern recognition and appreciating all the potential ambushes and all this sort of stuff. It's nothing bad for you guys and stuff. It's just, like, I come across very casual and stuff like that, but I'm very, very much like, I often refer to the Michael Jordan Last Dance documentary about everything is clutch. Like, in my heart, like, I'm ready to go 24/7. I was an IT consultant and all that sort of stuff. I worked with very high level people on complex problems and in clutch situations for clients and stuff like that. And going back 20 years when I was doing that, I was nothing compared to what I am now. I had plenty of insecurities and variables that I could improve on, that now that I've matured and stuff, I've built myself based on that foundation. That it's just very interesting. I'm here and stuff, and as I offered in the last video, I I had all the clips sort of set up ready to rock and stuff, and I actually offered that Tiesto video of a pretty epic song that everything's going to be alright, because this Dreamtime thing that I'm going to get into, it was like, as I said, these last few months have been pretty brutal since I offered my sovereignty declaration in February, and then there was a lot of missions after that and stuff, but there's been like I said, a parabolic evolution, and then in March for the solstice I did the pure source audit, working out the mechanics of that, and then after that I worked out the linguistics relative to the Dreamtime, which is a component I'm going to get into about relative to the linguistics, pure source spiritual assembly for multiverse resolution versus spiritual quarter equity, which in a video in I think it was 6 before this now, within the last few months I worked out that linguistics, that the Dreamtime construct was, it had a court sort of set up, which is my metaphor relative to the Dreamtime all being linked up to the legal system, which is all, yeah, like my metaphor was like tennis courts and trying to play basketball and stuff, and my dream was I wasn't in control. That's all I'll say. And if you want to go back and look at that, if I don't get a chance to talk about it, that's a few videos back. Pure Source Spiritual Assembly for Multiverse Resolution. And so we created a big coliseum with all the 10,000 central suns and dragons and the multiverse brought in of the misguided stuff that's gone on in other universes that I've offered as well, where, you know, our universe was invaded and corrupted from the get-go, and we've never had purity as an expression in this universe, which with some of these epic allies that I mentioned, we worked all this out, and they've got the ability to go back to that original moment of when the concept of our conscious potential was created and stuff. And yeah, it's just been many conscious Tetris building blocks to get into this point, which, just focusing on this last few months of what I said, it's all been momentum, and the momentum is going parabolic at the moment, and we're talking like very high level, high dimensional structures and control. And so when we're dealing, like say for the metaphor of doing healing, the energy might shift, but then the body takes 3 or 4 days for it to percolate through of the change, and it might be it might not be the most pleasant transition, because when the body gets more energy, if it's been in deficiency, then it gets the resource to kick in a lot of functions, but there may be a lot of backlog of processes that need to play out, because the body has gone into a wartime mode of managing resources and delegating the energy resources in a deficient state that the body needs the priority functions. Like, it might not repair the skin, but it goes and helps resolve the heart issues and, you know, main organs like that. So when the body gets the nourishment that it needs to function at a high level, there's a lot of backlog that might kick in, and you can feel quite depleted after sessions, but you might actually feel the body like you'd never felt it and stuff. So working at a macro level of the whole planet and universe and stuff, it's just the reason why I played that Tiesto video is that we know we've got a massive strategic victory and stuff. So it's just really fascinating of, say, myself setting myself up with all this stuff that are feeling really good. Like the dream that I'm going to allude to was done just before when I recorded and released the Crystal Skull video that I said, and it was like I was in the transition of getting a lot of intel. I didn't know what I had, and then with a couple of the allies that I've done massive stuff with, once I got them right, it was just game on, and we realized how significant it was. And I'm making a big call here, and you've got to discern it and stuff, but we'll see what transpires, all right? So I'm just seeding a few of the variables that I want to get into and expand upon in this, but yeah, it's just the poetic nature of, say, my own personal journey and getting good and maintaining myself. So if I do an earth pranic healing, I wouldn't do it unless I'm good. I actually don't feel responsible for Earth. I respect her and how badass she is. And as I've said in my earth pranic healings, it's like I want to get rid of all the bullshit, nasty invader compromise structure over the top of her. That just think about this, all right? Like who out there in the community thinks they're better than Earth, all right? That they can add more to her than her purity in her organic state of being, like I said, I've used the word, like, let's make Earth naked, of free of all this crap and layers of bullshit over her, all right? Like, let's just experience, like, purity, like pure, ungridded Earth, all right? And I would just offer, there's people out there that think that they have what she doesn't have at the moment. And I would offer, like, put the discernment bar on the people that think that they can do more to her and fix her. What's guiding them, all right? Whose side are they on? What kumbaya narrative are they bought into? And, you know, are they trying to be popular and all this sort of shit? Because I can tell you, like, I go in and I just, like, fucking blast this shit. And it's like, get the frack off our amazing mother. Leave her the frack alone, alright? And trust me, 10,000 Central Suns and 1,000 dragons and stuff, it's like, see what happens to these people, right? Because I'm just blasting it 1,000 and shit and just get this crap off. So yeah, it was very interesting because one of the variables why I did that was it felt like there was, I talked in the last video about the collectives and all this sort of, and the anti-gods and stuff like that, but it felt like there was another variable going on, and we had epic solar flares recently and stuff, and ideally the solar flares are in our favor and stuff, so there's stuff done in the skies to block out the sun. I would offer, there's a frequency probably being offered that is all about activating us and stuff like that, plus what goes on with cholesterol under our skin gets converted to our immune system and stuff. So there's all sorts of variables going on, but it was in the last month there's been very profound solar flares, like the most ever for the last 20 years. I think it was either 7 or 9 X-class flares over a weekend and stuff, and they should have been in our favor. And some people are very aware that there was messed up stuff going on with them and all that sort of stuff, right? And potentially those were used as a unfamiliar variable to have backdoors in to mess with people and stuff, and the earth and that. And so it's not just those solar flares, but generally it felt like there was stuff going on that I could sense. You know, I work very well with the unknown, and so I just have a little pause. Getting into these solar flares and stuff, it felt like there was some hacking into them. I'll just use that language to get to the point. And so they weren't organic relative to Earth and stuff. And so it was very interesting when doing this. I could feel the variable of the Earth, as in, say, a negative grid or something going through the Earth to actually go at people around us. So I talked about the collectives and the anti-gods and percolating through to the structures of society and the infiltrators in the community and all that, all work in alignment with them relative to, say, sessions and stuff like that. But it felt like there were, you know, like I talk about working with the unknown, you know, once we got all these variables and there's something else not adding up, it's like, what else could there be? And I have, in the past when I've done earth pranic healings and stuff, I sort of got a sense of all that. So say over this parabolic recent era of mine, like working out the Dreamtime and the distortion there and clearing that up and getting the authority in the universe and all the variables that I've talked about, which I just want to get to the point because I want to get into this. It's probably going to get dark as well. All right. I'll just show you this image. I haven't shown this to the the moon clearing video that I did back last year, but it's a good one, alright? So from my perspective, I worked out that the moon was an aspect of Maldek, and Maldek was the protector of Earth and stuff like that, and they've used it as a weapon to broadcast, and so there's the whole distortion of the feminine Earth and putting masculine grid over it, and Maldek was masculine and it's been broadcasting feminine sort of distortion and all that sort of stuff. So you're welcome to go back to that. But the image I'm showing is, from my perspective, messing with the Aurora Borealis, alright? It's to distort Earth's dream and her connection to us. So to me it was messing with her ability to perceive us, alright? And that's been a constant, alright? So say we do stuff and then they try and distort her, so I feel the metaphor of, on the macro or the micro of what went on with these big solar flares in particular, is they were distorting them to go at Earth, because we connected her to source and she's in control and stuff like that. So she's been coming through and working with us. My allies very much work direct with her, and as I said, employing that image relative to the big tree, connecting Earth, pure source, to the pure source authority of this universe and stuff. Like, we've been the bridge to get there, right, amongst all this shit. And that's the Akasha Bullshit overlay from Nibiru and stuff. And I'll just offer this. There's the Ashayana Bullshit records, alright? They're using the same mechanics with her data, alright? So me talking about the Dreamtime is also a bit dicey, because I know my image, as I said in Influences Part 1, back in 2021, like mid-2021, a certain being out there was using my image to go in and mess up people's Dreamtime, to discredit me in the Dreamtime, to then percolate through into the 3D where people had a negative feel about me because of all the shit going on. And that's been going on recently as well, as I said. And I've been very cautious and offering raise your bar very high, because I don't really look to do this collective Dreamtime at all. The whole thing about collectivism and stuff, it's, you know, if you go into groups and all that, if one variable, one person is compromised, they can compromise every group. I'm never really looking to be collectives. I'm a sovereign individual, and my whole metaphor is getting myself to the best I can be, and then seeing what the byproduct of that is. And you know, the byproduct has been the GSF missions and stuff, and I come from a lot of years and all that, but I won't want to get into that just yet. But I'll just offer, like, in this Earth Pranic healing and the poetic nature of talking about the Dreamtime in this video, if I had released it earlier, I wouldn't have done that and been able to expound upon this and offer that this has been a variable going on, right? So what I'm just saying is that's all been going on in amongst this, and then having this dream amongst that, to me it was a mega victory. And I would just offer, over the last few months, it's probably been pretty brutal, as I said in the last video, about us holding the line sort of thing. So few. So I just honour you. Like, a lot of people have had it tough with no context and stuff. If you've gone through Galactic Special Forces 32, I really hope that answers a lot of the unknown of what you've been doing instinctively. Like, I don't see myself as anything separate to most people. I've just worked hard, and I chip away at my own potential, and I love that journey of my own infinite and stuff. And the metaphor I said in the DJing sort of thing is, carve your own path. Like, be your own original variable. Like, we're born unique, don't die a copy sort of thing. And it took me a lot of years to actually, like, I was so sensitive about putting myself out there. I didn't want to be judged negatively, so I held myself back. And I was worried about, you know, accommodating the majority and being popular and all that sort of stuff. But all those things are distortions to the potential. And what I've just been offering, I'll just put this down. And the whole metaphor of the DJing stuff in that last video was, everything before us has failed, alright? So for me, like, the definition of insanity is trying to solve all this shit that's going on and the crap that's going on with the data that hasn't worked in the past. We've got to create new concepts, new original stuff with a foundation of the past, and that's why I go into all the conscious Tetris of taking this variable, this variable, this variable. The output doesn't add up to anything that's gone on there. And so my own journey of like the failing and the DJing and stuff is like learning from that failure and the regret. As I talk about, regret is the thing I try and avoid a lot, right? But that has all been defining moments for me to be now. And as I offered in our Intuitive Potential Part 3, you don't know what defines you as an individual and how that part might define you in the future. So I'm just offering my mechanics and stuff because I'm going to get into a lot of defining variables in my past as well that led to this, because the significance of me of this dream that I had and what happened, it's quite poetic. And I don't like, with the variables that I've dealt with in the past, the dream time has been very dicey. It honestly hasn't been the dream time. It's probably more likely been the astral realms. And if you've watched the TV show Krypton, it's about the planet where Superman came from and stuff. A couple generations before him, I use some of the clips relative to that, relative to the Black Mercy and the stuff that's being put into people. And but one of the variables of that is, in the first season, there's this nemesis called Brainiac that would capture planets and have realms inside of him that are all captured planets with everyone shrunk down and all these realms and stuff. And a lot of these, I know these variables that I've been a hen in a fox house with in the past are very good at creating those constructs and trapping you in there and controlling all the construct and letting you think that this is what's going on, but they've actually captured you.
Is taking power from the generator that powers the city's protective dome. He's already here. We have to go.
How will you defeat an alien conqueror?
Krypton, your world is mine. Yes, I think it's time.
It's here for days, isn't it?
It's the beginning of day zero.
People of Kandor, do not fear. I am here to save you. Today is the beginning of your eternal life. Precious gift. Freedom from your concerns and attachments. You have now glimpsed the infinite intelligence and seen the deliverance that I bring. Are you ready to serve? Are you ready to be the instruments of my will?
If you've watched the TV show Krypton, it's about the planet where Superman came from and stuff. A couple of generations before him, I use some of the clips relative to that, relative to the Black Mercy and the stuff that's being put into people. And but one of the variables of that is in the first season, there's this nemesis called Brainiac that would capture planets and have realms inside of him that are all captured planets with everyone shrunk down and all these realms and stuff. And a lot of these, I know these variables that I've been a hen in a fox house with in the past are very good at creating those constructs and trapping you in there and controlling all the construct and letting you think that this is what's going on, but they've actually captured you. And as I said about the residual image, like my image and stuff, I know people have been using that to discredit me, to create the sympathetic resonance to the false astral realms. And yeah, it's just nuts, right? And I just offered, like, doing falsehood like that has a short shelf life, right? Truth and authenticity endures for eons and stuff, but if you're doing misguided stuff and all that, you know, we'd just bust all this shit and we put it into the Pure Source Spiritual Assembly for Multiverse Resolution. We order everyone and everything related to it and stuff, and we don't have all the variables and we're still discovering all that, and we always question, why is this so, why is this going on and stuff. But I feel like the structures that sort of established now, whether you accept them or not, like, I'm working with it, my allies are working with it, and we're having massive victories and stuff. And that's why this parabolic is happening, because we've finally got, if not a level playing field, but we're the authority in our universe, right? So what I'll just show you is a bit of an overview of the Dreamtime sort of stuff, because I want to get into this. I talked enough, right? You probably when are you going to drop it, Hodge? All right. But yeah, this is a bit of an overview, right? So for the veterans out there and the new people, like a lot of the veterans that have been around a long time, they actually like this stuff to measure themselves over it, because I have people that have been around since the beginning, 2013 and stuff, but many of you may have, like I said, come across me at various times. Maybe you dipped your toe, maybe you've been solid with me, maybe something happened and you left and now you're coming back, or you're seeing this in the future. But this is a bit of a metaphor of many things related to me and the significance of this dream I'm going to talk about, right? So it was back in 2013, 2014, one in 2019, and 2024 now, and all those reds are all the different foxes. I've been a hen around and stuff like that in different areas, and I could explain them, I could name names and all this sort of shit, but honestly, it's, if you go back to that image, I'll just show you this one that I've showed many times. Like, these players are just variables amongst all the bigger structure that we've been dealing with, alright? And I'll just show you the other one about the collectives quick. This is a new one for the last Galactic Special Forces 32. As you can see, there's all these, the big circles in the big black are all the anti-gods, and then there's relationships between aspects of the government, and the collective sort of variable is like these mass predators that are millions or of them, and then they send them to us and stuff. So we've sort of like been clobbering a lot of that, alright? But then that taking care of them revealed what's going on with Earth and stuff. So that's why doing the Earth pranic healing earlier this week was really poetic and helped clear a lot up. I can feel when Earth is messed up and it's coming through. So she was overdue, alright? So I guess I just add all these variables. I'm being very vague deliberately. I'm not wanting to give the data and details, because dipping my toe into below the 22D here and doing this and interacting with people, you don't know what can get tracked back and targeted and all that sort of stuff. But it's like, we've got the authority now and superiority and stuff. And as I said about the metaphor of the healing, a lot of this has all got to percolate through, alright? So I'm going to explain all these in detail in the future. I'm just offering that there's this bigger structure that we've never known about, but we've finally got it. And these foxes that I mentioned, they're just little players, but they've definitely been working with them, some of them, and all this sort of stuff. And there's going to be a Galactic Special Forces I talk about the anti-gods with some variables, and it'll help explain why I've been very conservative about interacting with anyone that's sort of had sessions and stuff like this. I've had to be very guarded, because I've got more experience of what, one instance, like back in 2021 when I left sort of Andrew, I had a session and I had all this misguided interference of thousands of tentacles with eyes on me, alright, going through and reading everything and tracking me and observing everything and every move I make to be able to negate my potential and sabotage me and stuff. And it came via Andrew, but one of the anti-gods was that one. And so people that have dealt with directly like him, that's just one of the anti-gods. We've dealt with many of them. So I've had to be very defensive and stuff, and unfortunately that's made me retreat into my isolation and letting people choose the sessions and stuff like that. But then these middlemen have stepped in and tried to be handlers with me and hijacked people I deal with and stuff, and distorted things because they're working with, say, the Mantis or shit like that. Like, I've got a real freaking hate for the Mantis. They're been a nemesis for a lot of us, and going back to my early childhood and stuff. But I'm digressing. I wouldn't trust anything to do with the Mantis sort of things. They're in the 125 species if you've read the Sovereignty Declaration, right? So I'm going to get into this, right? So I might have to just do a bit of an overview and then get into a lot more detail, but the key is about this dream, alright? So I've got this image again. So I mentioned GSF 9 and GSF 33 now. So if you go back to GSF 9, I went through this. I talk about what I did in October 2013, where I was on a train ride to my meditation group, and I came out of being totally used by Andrew again, or early. This is the first instance. Second half of 2013, he was going in parabolic, but he used me and I got massively effed over. I put Nikki Thetzi back together and stuff and did a lot for her and stuff, and I was just a bit peed off with these beings and stuff, and for many reasons I was just looking, like you, I've been striving and looking for the best in the community and epitome of society, and it was just disappointing and stuff. So on a train ride, I just realized that there's so much more potential that we can raise our bar to, but I haven't found it anywhere. So in that moment, brewing all this, I just committed to whatever I was going to commit to. And to me, that's where I committed to be a guardian of Earth. And I was always going to be it, but all the ingredients led to that defining moment in me, right? So like you say, like I offer in defining moments and what defines us and all that, the horrible path we might go into might be the katana, the sword folding that get to it. So long story short, I've actually got October 14th, 2014 there, right? And that's where I came out of a sleep. I got an alarm waking me up because I had a family member from overseas staying and we were going to go to see koalas and I had to drive. And I had a really rough night. I started getting into releasing my videos and stuff and was in really epic mode, and the alarm very early, there was a big galactic war going on, and I came back so fast into my body from that dream. I literally broke my tailbone or really damaged it and stuff, and it took a long time to get that healed and stuff. And when I woke up, Andrew was there wanting to talk about it and stuff, and I was just like, yeah, I hadn't dealt with him for over a year and stuff like that, but he was there waiting for me. I didn't know what happened, but there was massive war, and he did a video with Natalie about 40 million being killed and all this sort of stuff. And then I've got GSF-9. You know, I'd gone through all this and committed and stuff. I used to, as a part of my guardianship, I used to protect the city and the land and all this sort of stuff. So even going back, in May 2013, I had interaction with the Atna Mutna of Will Peanut Pound. And if you ever look at Will Peanut Pound, it's like a cradle of earth, right? The Atna Mutna of like the eldest tribe in the world sort of thing, and Dreamtime's big. So I've had a connection with the indigenous of the land. It was like I went to the meeting with them, but I got permission from the ancestors of the land to be who I am, because all the ancestors were like a big around us and stuff. So I know I just had a hard life to even get up there and get with the elders and stuff. And the leader of the tribe, he would call me Uncle Andre. So it's like I was back then, I had no idea, but chucked in the deep end of trying to endure all the crap that I've been through and stuff, just playing catch up because of all this stuff that we've been up against. But so I used to dedicate part of my life and my expression when my cup was running over sort of thing to missions and protecting Earth and stuff. So one of the things I would do is protect my city. And in Galactic Special Forces Part 9, I had this poetic moment of, you know, it sucks to be us, but we've got the maximum responsibility and everyone benefits. And I had this interaction with a family member who was in the police force at a high level, and he was used, I realized, he was used as a pawn to destroy, say, my potential and stuff. And I ran into him randomly in my city when I was on shaman patrol and shook his hand, and that took me into the Dreamtime. And I'll leave it there, I'll get into that in another time, but it was like I actually busted a whole My Lab sort of stuff of these guys that had signed contracts with the government that were being used on levels of contracts that are multi-dimensional. It was like multi-dimensional hidden variables that they didn't know they were signing into, giving their body sovereignty away, where they would get taken and bodies would use to do My Labs and stuff. And I busted the entity. But the thing was, it was like on the soul level they were trapped, and I just, you know, I was pissed off about life and what had happened and all this sort of stuff. But then I realized, wow, these guys are totally dominated and have no sovereignty and sort of stuff, right? And so it just, you know, it was a profound variable of realizing it sucks to be us, but we're the last resort and we've got to do the right thing. And, you know, moving on from that and integrating it sets you up for another potential defining moment. So that was a really big defining thing. The video is good because all the bullshit that I went through on the family level and all this sort of stuff, but then, you know, it sucks to have the awareness and the leadership responsibility and all that. But I'll just move on. So I'll get into this if I've got time. I might just expound upon this in the future, but right at the depths of all the worst times, so with Andrew and when we're brewing Galactic's History 2 and stuff, I was rationing food and all that. I had this prophetic dream of my grandparents coming through and healing me and helping me, and apologizing for what's gone on in the family to me and stuff, because there's been a lot of distortion and stuff. So I get a lot of support from my ancestors and stuff, and a lot of ancestors in, you know, ancestral armies and stuff like that. But it was a real prophetic dream, right? But then there was this one in this recent time, and as I said about the releases, right? So I'll just show you the image quick. I use this image in the Pure Source Spiritual Assembly for Multiverse Resolution about my metaphoric dream time where we weren't in control, alright? And I'll leave you with that video to go and do your homework with, but just imagine I'm inserting that here. Because what I realized is we were in the spiritual code of equity was related to the law system, and say me being in Australia with the connection to an epic tribe and permission of working on the land here and stuff. Imagine if I got captured and used and stuff, there's a lot of benefit from my codes and stuff to be able to actually allow all this, okay? So all these variables make it very poetic of why I was, and all that I've been involved in, and all the violations are our asset and stuff, about flipping it and all and stuff. So just going back to the earth image, right? So I'll leave that there and I want to move on, right? Perhaps I'll expand upon this a lot more in the future, but I want to get all the variables here, so we'll get them in, right? So I showed this earlier, but just imagine like working all this out, right? And being able to defend Earth and stuff as her guardian sort of thing, right? And all this in recent times, and you're welcome to go back to the moon video and with context now, but it was very interesting, right? So we've even been battling with all that I'm just offering all this relative to Earth for you guys to keep an eye on her relative to this, because they're not going to give up, right? So I'll get into this eventually. Finally, I'm here. Yay. Bloody hell, Andre, you can chat. But so I'll get into this dream and what happened after it, because it's quite profound. So I'll just offer the image as a quick insert, right? Because what we were doing were playing catch up and under massive bombardment and being totally targeted and smashed, and all the people around us were being used and stuff. And that's how, say in a session, I worked out these collectives, and I've changed my attitude a bit, right? Because what happened is, because I know I've been under so much just negative stuff, right? I won't get into it much. I've had to be very guarded and defending, and these collective sort of stuff that I'll expand upon a lot better in the future, right? So I'll just show you the image quick. You imagine if, like, the anti-gods are like the negative brothers of pure source, right? And they're very high level, and they're messing with millions and billions out there in the universe and negative species and stuff and that. Imagine if their total annoyance at you is being targeted at you and those around you, and all the degrees of separation and stuff, right? So it's been pretty brutal, right? So what happened is working out this big aha moment of this variable, helping this sort of client out and finally getting them free. But it's been a battle, because there's many things, there's even echoes of these things, but what I was offering is how guarded I've been and how I've had to retreat and be very passive and let people book and stuff. I'm going to probably have to be a bit conservative on interacting outside sessions with all this stuff. So a lot of you guys want to interact and stuff, and I appreciate that, but it's like, it's game on, like it's clutch. It's game 6 against Utah, MJ, pure source time, alright? With everything up to the grabs at the moment. So yeah, I just leave that there. But so my instincts of retreating and being very guarded, what I want to offer as well is us clearing up a lot of these collectives. Like, every violation is an asset. So as I said in the other video about defending Earth and stuff, those of you that have been committed to me, it's like you've helped forge the path for the rest of us. And so every violation, say every session, it's just imagine all that's audited and cleared by the 10,000 central suns and the pure source spiritual assembly and all that. So it's just, that's all been going on. So getting to the point, we had, appreciating all this context, we've sort of been busting a lot of the anti-gods and the collectives and stuff. So my posturing has been pretty ferocious. I describe my energy over the recent few months, 6 to 9 months sort of thing. I've been like a New Zealand Maori doing a haka sort of thing to keep my energy tight and stuff and not let in. But I realized what I was doing, I was freaking out a lot of these collectives because they were terrified of me, and then they're influencing people. I was spooking the shit out of them because people are being puppeted by this stuff. So in all these sessions and working this stuff out, I actually had to be very defensive and guarding these negative collective an instance. Just imagine like a school of jellyfish. Like I'm dealing with one that's very locked in because they're terrified of the negative consequences of their violation, right? So I've actually had to defend them and just invite them to go to pure source and get them to lower their guard and let go, and instead of being a vampire of other people's energy, they can have a whole different existence, and then they can ripple that through the whole collective. You imagine how much I've pissed off recently. I do have a talent of being annoying, so I've been annoying the fuck out of the invaders and all this sort of negative shit in the universe big time. So that's why I've got bodyguards, right? And they're being smashed. But yeah, what I'm just getting to is some of them want to go, some of them are very negative, and we've had to take care of others and stuff, and they're nasty as fuck, right? So the prophetic realization of putting all this together with allies that are being smashed, and I've done a lot of missions in GSF, and the reason why I'm not doing the anti-God one now is that there's a lot I need to go and review of all the variables and so many influences and stuff. Like I could probably write another whole sovereignty declaration just on the influences, right? And I might do that at some point, put them all down. But the strategy of reverse engineering this and going out and clobbering it and clearing the path for the pure source potential of our universe, that set up my dream. Because the very next day I had an epic dream, alright? And then I set off a lot of alarm bells, alright? And then there was a whole next level of targeting and all that going on. So that was around the time I did the Crystal Skulls video. I didn't know what had happened, right? So I'm just going to get into what happened, okay? So with all the Dreamtime clear and stuff like that, what happened is I had this prophetic dream. And I don't know what your dreams have been like the last month, but ideally since working out the Pure Source Spiritual Assembly for Multiverse Resolution and taking apart all the negative Dreamtime construct there, right? And like I said, clearing Earth and her dream of what she wants, and this Earth pranic healing has been the first one I've done since that, I would say, and working out that there's another strategy going on, and it's not as superior as that, alright? But I'll just offer that just because I have these victories, we don't know what else needs to be done, and we're chipping away and, like I said, going parabolic. So this is the dream, alright? I just had a quick break, so sorry about that, but I'm getting excited about getting to this point finally. So I don't mean to string you along, it's just interesting, alright? I want to offer all the data and components, and it's getting dark, so I might only have about 10 or 15 minutes to get this out. And so I may expand upon it in the future more, right? But this is epic, right? And I just, like, I don't want to feel special or worse or better off or worse off than anything like that. I'm just trying to have a freaking normal existence, and I'm just sort of, I haven't found the answers, so now I've gotten into this point about offering the answers, and I'm just trying to inspire you to be, who knows what you've got, alright? Maybe you've got the answer we need. Maybe what you're getting, though it has no reference out there, it might be the component that might put a massive conscious Tetris together for the whole of humanity and stuff, and you're unique, don't die a copy sort of thing, right? So, and I say all this because, like, all the crap that I've gone through and stuff, I don't want collective Dreamtime. I want, leave me the frack alone Dreamtime, so I can go off to one of my allies. She had this experience of going to synesthesia Dreamtime. She had a brutal time and stuff, and her reward was just going to this amazing Dreamtime world that was, she didn't want to come back, right? So you imagine, like, the light tastes like strawberries and stuff like that. She had that sort of magical experience after an interaction, and it was like a reward and that. So yeah, leave me the frack alone Dreamtime. That's what I want, because I don't talk about the messing that goes on with me, like going into sleep and all this sort of stuff. Say if with sessions and all that with people that have been messed with by these collectives and these individuals, that they actually frickin' brand you guys, alright? If you've had interaction, they think you're their property and you're their code bank and all this sort of stuff. And I actually protect the frackers from their frackery, right? Of not talking all about it and stuff. But it's just, there's so much violation that's been going on. I would just love freaking normal sleep and stuff, right? But I'm offering that even overnight I had profound dream with relative and all this sort of stuff, because I deal interesting on that level. And so I've offered a lot of the ingredients about me in the Dreamtime and why I might be of interest of all these variables that have used us and stuff like that. So this is a dream, right? So after we did all this clearing and worked all this stuff out, a couple of my allies and specific allies, and I'm not mentioning names just to keep the coordinates off and them and stuff like that, but we got ourselves back together for the second time after being smashed, and it's been brutal. Like, I've had to eat a lot more and stuff like that. I usually only eat 2 meals a day and stuff. I had to eat 3 or 4 the last few months just to have enough energy in the body, and if they mess with our recovery tech and harvesting us and all this sort of stuff, it's been like dipping underneath all the crap to come out the other side. You imagine holding your breath and just enduring a lot of shit, right? So the dream I had after we got clear was, and I offered the dream relative to Galactic Special Forces Part 9, because I have one ability of remote dreaming into other people's bodies, right? And I haven't heard that ever talked about, but I'll just show you that image again relative to the dreams and stuff, okay? The significance for me showing all this is I had this instance now 9 years later, which I haven't had an instance since way back then. And I'm offering that all this era of all the red of all these individuals, I probably had that ability stolen, alright? And at like 5% of my potential and all this sort of stuff. So those of you that have been around it and involved with all these people, I'm offering me as a metaphor of probably what it's been like for you, but we've had these victories recently and the success that we've had at big scales. And so I'm like a barometer for you probably. You're going to come out of it if you're not already out of it and stuff, right? So this one, I use the metaphor of Edge of Tomorrow coming into a body, and the species was like the blue blood leader sort of time in that movie that was controlling like 24 or 32 of these high-level military sort of types doing my labs and stuff, right? And I'll talk about my variable maybe if I've got more time at the end, right? But I've been through a lot as a kid and stuff. But what happened is the being recognized that something was going on and came up and looked at me in the eyes, like put its hand between my legs and looked at me in the eyes to try and intimidate me, but then it saw who I was and got freaked out and busted it and cleared all the contracts. It was like, yep, I'm sorry. So it freed my cousin and all that sort of stuff, and I freed him, and I got 18 years of life back, because those sort of variables of using the people, they just harvest them and then they kill them, you know, before they're meant to die and stuff. So I saved a lot of people and saved my cousin and that, even though I lost everything in that. But the significance of my own self-realization of that is this dream, right, here. So all of that relevant to you in your journey now, and see what happens, right? But I hope that is really big context, right? Because of how significant it is on many levels, and the victories and a metaphor of the progress we made, right? And so this dream, I did the same thing. I came into a body, right? And I was sitting at a table, like a big long rectangle table at some point, alright? And at the head of the table was President Brandon, alright? But in the dream it was metaphoric. It's like of the collective all behind him and stuff. And as Asha says, the Republicans are draconians, the Democrats are Anunnaki sort of thing, alright? And you can see it with the distorted sexuality and all that shit going on. It's very fascinating, alright? And there's other videos for that. So I came into this dream and I was there in a body exactly like the cousin. So it was like, wow, that was profound. And the other thing, I knew the location of the Earth, alright? And there's a location in the Pacific Ocean called Point Nemo that you probably never heard about. I only, through my vigilance, you know, interested in space and stuff goes on. Not that I'm interested as much as I used to be. Like as a kid, I used to love drawing the space shuttle and stuff like that. But I've never heard this location on the Earth talked about. And keep an eye out who's plagiarizing my stuff now and wants to talk about it, alright? But there's this location in the Pacific Ocean where they dump all the satellites and space stations and stuff because it's the most remote part of the planet, alright? So it's fascinating in the narrative. Whatever's talked about it, they make it seem like it's the space junkyard, alright? So why would you want to be around junk? It's just like a dump zone. There's nothing there, blah, 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 alright? So I knew I was in that location under the sea in a meeting spot, right? So bases and stuff like that. So that's where the agreements were going on. So I might have images or put a little video here or whatever. So I might just stop and insert that video so you get an idea, or I've got images and stuff. But just think about that. It's like 1,500 miles from anything, or 12 to 1,500 miles from anything. It's the most sparse and open. Nothing goes on there, okay, that we know about. And that's in the narrative, but I would offer that maybe there's a lot more going on. All right, that's the location I went to. And the only reference I had about it was, say from a data point, like see my pattern recognition, I might have that article come in my eye, like if it was from Zero Hedge or something, I might remember the article and how unique that feeling was that is the coordinate for that data. So it's something I've explored. It's in all my algorithm of all my data on the subconscious passive level that comes up relative to the frequency of that, all right, that dream. So I had a reference point, and it's really fascinating. I was like, okay, that's interesting. And at the big rectangle table, so imagine I'm sitting like a couple down from the head, and Brandon's at the head, all right, and he's running it, and there's all ET like species at the tables. And it's the metaphor of the dream is like a representative for the species or the collective. And some of the species were aspects of that collective. They didn't have free will and stuff. That's thanks to what I will share now. All right. So I had that dream, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. That came after a very epic clearing of all the collectives messing with, say, myself and people around me that have caused consequences in my life and all that. The fascinating thing is, I must have got picked up that I did that. But the very next day, I live in a certain situation where we don't have total sovereignty of the situation we live in. So individuals can come into it to do work and stuff like that. So after not having any interest in stuff, I had all these people wanting to be in my property and all this sort of stuff. And a lot of the people, like, because I had this epic healing and this prophetic dream, I was very heightened and stuff. And so it's not anyone's issue. Say people work for sort of organizations or government and stuff, they can be Trojan horses and puppeted and stuff, a bit like what happened with my family member that I allude to in that GSF-9, okay? They're not sovereign, they're signed contracts, so they've given away sovereignty and all that sort of stuff, so they're used as bots and Trojan horses. So that stuff happened the very next day, and you imagine I'm very expanded, a bit like when I do the earth pranic healings. I go into my vulnerability and I turn the vulnerability into my strength and stuff. But these sort of things are very profound, and so I feel like I probably set off alarms with that, and I didn't know what I had, right? And then all this pushback came after we dealt with these collectives and this, so it's just been on like Donkey Kong, Relentless. It's just, I'm callous to all the misguided sort of violation, targeting, all that sort of stuff. So that's, I've built my foundation on that to be resilient to it, right? So yeah, I did the Crystal Skull video and stuff, and I was in the middle of it. And then I had some interactions with a couple of my epic allies and via sessions and stuff, like all of us are doing relentless healing, all right? Like I'm probably healing 3 to 5 hours a day, 30 hours a week and stuff like that. And it has been very tough, and it's been very hard to get out in front of it. But again, on that metaphor of getting it out in front of these collectives and the anti-gods and the structures here and stuff, right? And what I'll get to now, it's been like very methodical, just trying to endure, but getting past it sort of thing, and being able to maintain ourselves. And in getting to that dream, doing like many, I think at least 4 to 6 to 8 that I haven't even talked about. We got a lot of gifts and benefit from Earth, and that's why I was saying in the last one that life and Earth are abundant with gifts and talents, and trying to get them back to us. We've got to accept them and go through the process of doing that. Right? We just got to instigate it and welcome stuff in, and right. So I had an epic session with one of my allies, and I'm not the only one that does work on Earth, right? Some of the people that I deal with have taken on that because they're ready to handle the pushback when they do it and stuff. And so, but I also respect the boundaries of a session. If someone comes to me needing help, it's purely about them. And, I've dealt with a lot of these high-level beings over the years, and I know how to trigger people's talents. I know when you can have an interaction, but then you bring in stuff and it triggers them. And going multi-D, it's like a lot of these people are so vast, it's very difficult to deal with the 3D and stuff. And so I helped this epic ally, and in this session, this is the being that I've done 12D Earth with, and that was March 14th, 2013 and stuff. And a lot of, like, my allies are being brutalized, and I help them out, or they invest in sessions and stuff, and we got those sort of mechanics. So one of the profound things in that session is we worked out people that are being targeted when they're in their womb, in their mother's womb. It's been a massive violation of messing with everyone. So we worked out the structures of that. And so we, using the Pure Source Spiritual Assembly for Multiverse Resolution, we put all of the violations of everyone's lineage, targeting them. It might go back to your father 3 lineages back that has an ancestral curse sort of thing that makes them violent, when you're in your mother's womb and stuff, to traumatize the mother, to distort the body tech that you're in sort of thing. So it's been affecting so many, all right? We put all of that, everything behind that and all that, we audited it and cleared it up via the Pure Source Spiritual Assembly for Multiverse Resolution. So that's one of the other variables, and there's others with that individual. But when I got, with some people in that are very epic and stuff, once I know I've got them stable, I might test their abilities. Like, I get them to test me and see what's going on so that they can play with their talents, right? Because I'm in a position where I've vetted people and I've cleared them to my level of satisfaction, so I trust them, because I can tell when things are authentic or inauthentic and stuff. And so one of the things I mentioned to this person, because it was in the Pacific Ocean, and I know that they work on it, I mentioned this Point Nemo, and I mentioned the dream. I just mentioned it, and it just it triggers people, to go into stuff, and they could see what was going on, and they could see all the species and stuff. And so we just nah, that shit ain't going down on Earth anymore. So we just totally audited everything in the Pacific Ocean, all right? And so they all got busted, all right? So I'm just moving on because it's getting late and stuff. So this is, I understand the fine line of interacting with these people, and I don't go into them wanting stuff from me. It's I'm in for the win-win of benefiting everyone. So it was just, the potential for this affecting this individual was quite high. So once they were clear and safe, back together like they haven't been for a long time, because they've been through a brutal experience over those last 12 months, and I honor them for their aligning and mastering themselves through it all, their own epic journey. Yeah, we just did that, you know what I mean? It's just, the work is very simple. It's the context is a hard thing. Solutions are quite straightforward when you got the context. So the next thing, all right, I'm just going to move on. So I hadn't caught up with my ally Captain Marvel and stuff, and obviously a lot happened, and we've been going through all this, and I was like, all this stuff is fascinating. Discovery is rich at the moment, where we're in the wild west of the falsehood and coming out with the truth. It's the spiritual community is being, and the invaders here, a bit like Westworld. They've had their way and brutalized, and it's time that no more, right? So I told her all about this because thanks to this other person, we told her what we did and stuff, and yeah, she's in Captain Marvel on steroids mode at the moment and stuff, and I told her all about this, right? And then we're off on missions again and stuff, and she's been very, very strategic in the anchoring of the pure source and pure source Earth Mother connection and stuff like that. And so yeah, we just, building on this other stuff, we went into a whole new level, and she could see all the species, like all the collectives, and all, because we've dealt with the anti-gods and these collectives, and the negative species or the puppeted species that have no free will, that have been just so dominated they submit to their stuff and that, and then all the government, and then what this was, long story short, I knew in the dream that I'd busted like the agreement of the government with the invaders, and in the original dream they were so arrogant that their plans were just like, this is the next version, right? And so probably what I haven't done so far, what I might do now, is offer the Ashayana components about the government agreements from the 1916, 1913 stuff, right? And I'll see you on the other side, all right?
So, I mean, if you want history, if you want detail, it's here. But what's important now is understanding what the heck has happened to us since 1916. How in the world could our politics, how could this stuff be going on without us even seeing it? That's what amazes me, is there's this picture painted for us through media and, through what you get taught in school from the time you're small and you go to school. We're taught to look at the world a certain way. What we're not taught is literally for 70 years there have been ET contracts here that have been controlling everything, including what the media was allowed to release. What we're not told is that certain races are walking among us that aren't even human. At this point, we need to realize that we have been a multi-species planet, and I'm not just talking about animals and plants and humans. The things that are in human bodies, all humans are not the same. It's not a value judgment of who's good and who's bad. Illuminati races that right now, it's really kind of good because most of them don't know that they're anything different than what a human might be, whatever that is. They have an innocence about them because of that, but they're also extremely vulnerable to manipulation because they have those DNA windows that the fallen angelic groups can just go right in with psychotronic pulsing, or they can go right in for possession into their biofields. This is what the Guardians tried to explain to them in the 1930s when they were making treaties with the Zetas, and there was literally physical contact made with some of the Guardian groups, and they came in and said, hey guys, you really don't want to do this. They tried to show them about the wormholes because they already knew that the things were happening with the wormholes because the Zetas had popped through them. And they had their own little twists of power and conquest, and they didn't want to release their power over the masses, and that's really what blinded them to make some bad decisions. So there is stuff going on here that is utterly amazing. You start to find it when your fourth strand starts to kick in, and you need to know you're not losing your mind when you start to see it. You're not having hallucinations. But think about it, how the program is set up out here. Okay, a person starts having DNA activation. They start to get weird perceptions. They start to see lizards in suits. They start to see spaceships hanging up there in the sky with their inner vision, not their eyes, right? They go to somebody because they're scared. They go to, say, a mental health professional. Where do they go? They get the railroad. They get put on something to make it go away. The system is set up. It's a snare to make sure that we don't activate, and if we do, they'll give us a nice chemical to make sure it goes away. This has all been set up for this time. And at this point, there's not a lot of time to haggle about it. I spent when I first started coming out with information, it was mild compared to this. We didn't talk about the scary stuff until it had to be talked about. We talked about some of the conflicts, but we didn't focus on Illuminati stuff. We had better things to do. Teaching about the healing, teaching about the DNA, what to do to prepare ourselves for stellar activation. But from the moment I stepped foot into the speaker's arena, I swear, everybody was out to get me. I came in with an open heart and a loving mind. Oh, we're all on the same team. We're all going to be light workers. Yeah, right? It was everywhere I turned around. There were people that looked like nice people that were trying to implant stuff into my fields, trying to send frequencies at me. It was amazing. It's been a battleground out there for a while now, and I just didn't realize it. You know, so we're all walking through this, and as long as we're stuck in the D3 mindset, they won't bother us directly, because we're controllable, because we're easy that way. It's when we start to get hip to things that they start to say, aha, you know, got to clamp down on that one. At this point, there's a lot of people waking up, and they haven't been able to clamp down on everybody. We've managed to get a huge amount of information through, and even more than the information, a huge amount of frequency, which means we've gotten enough frequency on planet that the indigos and the humans are starting to wake up on the natural DNA imprint that they're supposed to. They're still going to have problems running with the frequencies running through the grids. However, we can help people by learning to do this ourselves. The more frequency we bring into our bodies, the more we straighten out our DNA and hold that, the more it will be the pattern, the critical mass pattern in the race morphogenetic fields. It's called the race template. So we can literally, by healing ourselves, literally hold a field that the rest won't end up with accelerated cancer and accelerated heart disease and accelerated liver disease, because these are all the things that are going to accelerate because of the blockages that are there. So in the work that we do, we're helping all of that. I'm going to get back to this, though. I want to get back to, so we can get through this, so we can get to the fun part. The fun part was those 7 pages that I just haggled through it. I had to go through the whole text that I got to get the timeline. I wanted to see the timeline for me, too. Okay, what happened first? What happened next? To get us to this point. So I just want to get us familiar with the players, because you'll hear me talk about them a lot. And you may, at least you have them in your hand if you know, who was that again? Right? You basically have Anunnaki agendas, Andromi agendas, Draconian agendas, Draconian reptilian agendas, several different kinds of Anunnaki agendas. But what honestly has made the whole thing much easier is they finally all decided to stop fighting with each other and join up into the United Resistance. So now we don't have to track 20 different agendas. We just follow the main one. There's a couple little rebel groups. The only other rebel group you really have to worry about are the Omicron Draconians, because they're trying to fight the United Resistance and everybody else. But it's really made things much simpler. All of these agendas that are like these affiliations that have their own agendas have come together through the United Resistance, put all their technologies together, and are trying to make a stance against the Guardian Nations. But it makes it easier to track what they're doing.
The Round Table of Arthurian legend referred to signet councils. The word signet also refers to stargates. In the ancient knowledge of the Palladio-Urtite cloister races, the signet councils were the specific groups of angelic humans that assembled to run the corrected fire letter sequences into Earth's planetary shields during stellar activation cycles to prevent pole shift and progressively restore Earth's D12 Christos divine blueprint, otherwise known as the Shield of Aramatena. The Round Table of Arthurian legend referred to the Rainbow Round Table. The Rainbow Round Tables are groups of angelic humans assembled in 4 evolutionary rounds, who are commissioned to run the Rainbow Ray, or Kunda Ray primal sound current, from beyond the 15-dimensional time matrix into Earth's planetary shields during stellar activation cycles. Running of the Rainbow Round during SACs, or stellar activation cycles, which I'll use from now on, SACs, enables the planet to retain its natural electromagnetic balances to avert pole shift and restore the organic D12 planetary Christos alignment. Since the 9558 BC Atlantean flood, knowledge of the Rainbow Round Tables has been intentionally hidden from the angelic human races of contemporary Earth by human Illuminati and fallen angelic races that desire to create pole shift during the long-anticipated 2000 through 2017 AD SAC. They hope to use the 2000-2017 SAC to finally fulfill their plan of clearing Earth's real estate of angelic human races to later resettle their hybrid races on Earth after the dust settles, under a one-world order, anti-Christic agenda of totalitarian exploitation and dominion. Now, the conspiracy. The fallen angelic Illuminati human anti-Christic agenda gained a stronghold on Earth in 2500 BC, when Nibiru and Marduk Anunnaki, which are composed of Anunnaki, Omicron, and Draconians, seized control of Nibiru and Earth's D4 Universal Solar Stargate 4 in an event known as the Lucifer Rebellion. The name Lucifer comes from a hybrid Pleiadian Nibiruin Anunnaki race that emerged through combining the density 2 Nibiruin Lulitan family of the Toth Enki Zephylium Anunnaki lineage with the Satane family of the Marduk Anunnaki line and the D11 Necromaton, the beetle reptiles, the fallen seraphim race of Andromeda. From this hybridization, the Pleiadian Samjazi Luciferian Anunnaki and Marduk Necromaton Luciferian Anunnaki races of Sirius B, Nibiru, and Alpha and Omega Centauri emerged. This collective of Anunnaki races promoting an anti-Christic dominion agenda became known historically as the Luciferians, and were occasionally joined by other Anunnaki and Illuminati human race lines in their quest for the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is a term used in reference to the 12 universal signet stargates of the Universal Templar Complex, to which the angelic human race holds the sacred commission of guardian. The Grail quest began long before angelic humans were seated on Earth, and it has been the primary theme of motivation behind all of the forbidden and recorded distorted human history. It was long known among the competing Knights Templar, Jehovian and Nephidim. Nephidim are Omicron, Draconian, Anu, Melchizedek, Illuminati humans. Inner circles, it was long known that the New World of America was the old world of which Brilla Atlantis, the location of the central control site Gruol Point, which is Gate 2, for Earth's planetary shields, was once part. The competing quest for control of Lohas Atlantis Stargate 11, the Brua Atlantis Gruol Point Gate 2, and other Stargate locations in Earth's Templar complex have been at the heart of the continual conflict and race hatred and dominion campaigns throughout our recorded human history. The three competing factions of Anu Melchizedek races, representing the Luciferian, Jehovian, and Draconian dominion agendas, emerged from our ancient pre-Atlantean past, through Lemuria, Atlantis, and our early recorded history, into the powerful global infrastructure of the contemporary interior world government, Illuminati, One World Order agenda. As part of the planned, premeditated Atlantean conspiracy strategy, in 1750 AD, the Galactic Federation and Pleiadian, Nibiru, and Luciferian Anunnaki races began making remote contact with chosen ones, descendants of the respective Anu Melchizedek Illuminati races, who carried the DNA Templar implantation, allowing for telepathic rapport from their genetic ancestral line. After rising to covert power in Europe and various other regions, Galactic Federation and the Pleiadian Niburians motivated the American Revolution and the founding of the United States of America via secret society, occult school inspiration of their Luciferian Knights Templar Anu Melchizedek Illuminati races. This contact progressed from infiltration of ancient traditional religious control dogmas with their inner circle elite occultists into what has become the New Age channeling movement. The New Age movement is primarily dominated by Jehovian, Sirius A, Luciferian, Pleiadian, Nibiruin, Marduk Necromaton Luciferian of Alpha Centauri and Sirius B, Luciferian Centaurs of Omega Centauri, and some Necromaton and Dromi channel contacts. Following covert surveillance that began in 1916, the Zeta, the Little Greys, those races began physical interaction with Earth on behalf of the Zephylium, the reptile insect people of the Draconian agenda races of Orion. In the 1930s and 40s, Illuminati human Anu Melchizedek descendants of the Zephylium Zeta, Omicron Draconian, the dragon moths, and Odedicron reptile avians, draconian agenda races of Orion, entered One World Order Dominion treaties with the Orion Zeta Regalian races. The Zeta treaties initiated the formation of Majestic 12, which began the contact phenomena of what has become the contemporary UFO movement. In 1983, the Orion Omicron and Odedicron Draconian Agenda legions assumed the leadership role in the Zeta Treaty agreements. In the 1930s, the Necromaton, beetle, reptile, insect, hominid races of Andromeda became involved with certain factions of the Draconian Illuminati human interior government, initiating the Men in Black phenomena. Some assisting the Luciferian, Pleiadian, Nibiruan races of the Luciferian Covenant, others supporting the Draconian Agenda races. In November 1992, the Emerald Covenant Maharaji Blue Human and Azurite races of Sirius B, the Ceres Pleiadian avian hominid races of Alcyone, and the Lyran Syrian Anahazi female hominid founders races negotiated the Pleiadian-Syrian agreements. In these agreements, the Luciferian, Pleiadian, Nibiruan Anunnaki races, Galactic Federation, and a few Jehovian Anunnaki races agreed to enter the Emerald Covenant Peace Treaty for co-evolution with the angelic humans of Earth in a united stand against the Draconian Legion's anti-Christic dominion agenda. The Anunnaki races vowed to assist in the 2000-2017 stellar activation cycle Emerald Covenant Planetary Christos Realignment mission. They promised to disengage Nibiruan Dyadic Crystal Grid control of Earth's Templar, and to return Solar Stargate 4 control over to the founders' Emerald Covenant races by the year 2000, to prevent the scheduled pole shift that Galactic Federation had intended to orchestrate as per the Atlantean Conspiracy Luciferian Covenant. In January 2000, when the stellar activation commenced, most of the Anunnaki legions defected from the 1992 Pleiadian-Syrian agreements, reverting to their Luciferian Covenant Dominion agenda. On July 5, 2000, further negotiations with the Anunnaki legions culminated in their return to the Emerald Covenant via an agreement called the Treaty of Altair. They were required to release the Nibiruan Dyadic Crystal Grid and Solar Stargate 4 by August 2000. On September 12, 2000, the Necromaton and Dromi Men in Black offered co-conspiratorial deals to Luciferian and Jehovian Anunnaki and Draconian races. Galactic Federation and most members of the Anunnaki legions defected from the Treaty of Altair to join the United Resistance. That's resistance to the Emerald Covenant and Planetary Christos Realignment mission. The United Resistance is a co-conspiratorial plot through which resistance legions intended to covertly evacuate small numbers of their respective chosen ones and clear Earth's real estate via pole shift between 2003 and 2008 to achieve fulfillment of the Luciferian Covenant Atlantean Conspiracy agenda between 2008-2012. On September 12, 2000, the United Resistance Legions issued an edict of war against Emerald Covenant Guardian races if the Emerald Covenant Guardian races did not withdraw support for the angelic human 12 tribes of Earth. The Guardian nations politely refused to abandon humans and Earth to fallen angelic dominion. They didn't use that language. We are now facing the final conflict drama of the ancient Atlantean conspiracy. As the Atlantean conspiracy advanced from the 9558 BC Atlantean flood, Emerald Covenant races knew that the 2000-2017 AD stellar activation cycle would be the time for fulfillment of the planetary Christos realignment, and that if negotiations with fallen legions were not successful, the final conflict drama would ensue. In preparation for these anticipated events, the Magi Grail King lineage indigo children, types 1 and 2, have been incarnating on Earth for the past 100 years, since around 1900. The Magi races are here to assist the angelic human 12 tribes of contemporary Earth in completing the Emerald Covenant mission that King Arthur and Asayana Jeshua before him were unable to fully complete. To prevent pole shift in 2003 through 2008, the Nibiruian diodic crystal grid of Stonehenge, England, and Earth Stargate 11 must be recalibrated using early activation of D6 Sirius B Stargate 6 to override the D4 Nibiruian alignment before 2003. This will release the D4 solar spiral from Nibiruian control, preventing the massive pole shift the United Resistance intends. This is the sacred mission of Asayana Jeshua, King Arthur, and many Magi Grail kings before them, and the Indigos that have followed them. Once the Nibiruian hole on Earth is released, the planetary Christos realignment mission can be completed. If the angelic human 12 tribes of Earth can successfully run rainbow round tables. Running Earth's rainbow round tables can be done only by the angelic human and Magi Grey Line 12 tribes of Earth, whose DNA templates carry the DNA signet codes that correspond to the correct fire letter sequences in Earth's planetary shields. Through completing the Christos realignment mission by the running of the Rainbow Round Table Stargate Signet Councils today, the ancient anti-Christic Atlantean conspiracy One World Order Dominion agenda of the contemporary United Resistance can be overcome in our present time period.
Swap the mics again. Little tiny bit of the history. It shows you the beginning of what has got us to this point, and there is a lot more detail to come. There are things that happened before this period and things that have happened. There's expanded information that fits in between, like the different time periods. This was just like touching on the connection between the Atlantean conspiracy and the round tables. That isn't the whole history by far.
(1947), Roswell, New Mexico. An event takes place that will change history forever. They have come. An alien force of incomparable power with a deadly ultimatum.
They just demanded our unconditional surrender.
Now the battle has begun.
We're about to bet the entire human race.
And so has the cover-up.
I am nothing but a figment of your imagination because this incident never happened.
1961. One man discovers the truth.
I saw it.
You don't know what you saw, John.
One man stands in their way.
You don't keep the President of the United States in the dark about this. It's wrong.
President Kennedy knows what he needs to know.
One man may hold the key to survival.
What you're doing can't stay hidden forever.
All our days are numbered.
John Loengard.
You think it's the Russians?
Tell me, Mr. Loengard. Does this look Russian to you?
Now it's a furious,
Help, he's trying to kill me!
hopeless,
Did God help us?
desperate fight against the deadly hive and a dark conspiracy. They walk among us. Anyone can be hive.
It's too late, John. We have her.
And just when John Loengard thought he had lost everything, Juliet Stewart walked into his life.
I'm gonna do it the smart way, or we get a lot of civilians killed.
A woman just as strong,
Try to be a hero today, and I will find you again.
just as angry,
What happened to you?
I was 6.
just as passionate as he.
I cannot be your partner until you can face what's happened.
We are not partners.
Together, they make the ultimate sacrifice and take their battle into the belly of the beast. 1997, The time is now. John and Juliet have returned to a changed world, a world on the brink of disaster. The Hive having taken control in unimaginable ways. Their goal, the extinction of the human race.
Monica! My God, Monica! Daddy!
Time is running out. Will they survive? Will you? Dark skies.
So welcome back. Thanks for being here. Thanks for enduring this epic release, alright, so far. Because, so I hope you enjoyed that Asher clip. I was hunting for stuff and I had a reference and, you know, I've used some familiar components and that, but just realized the significance of that 1930 agreement, alright, with agreements with negative species and stuff. And I've had my lab sort of experience and going through all the shit in the 70s, 80s and stuff. And one thing that, you know, I don't know if, I haven't got kids and I haven't asked this question, but I used to wet my bed a lot, right? And that would be a sign I'd been abducted and stuff, because coming back in, you know, you might get taken, you have months or hours and that, and then they put you back in the same time. It's visceral. I think the technology back then was quite visceral and rough. It's a lot more smoother and stuff. Maybe you were having different experiences and stuff, but yeah, like I was on the run. Like I had to move 15 times before I was 5, and I get into the crime sort of stuff where crime is used against people. It's like the negative targeting of entities and destroying society and an individual's credibility in society, and that was being targeted at my father and stuff. But every time we would get discovered, we had to move and all that sort of stuff. So that was going on before I was 5, and then the split up, and then a lot was going on after that, because I mentioned about my grandparents and stuff. They died when I was pretty young, but my grandfather would come to me as an ally in the dreams before I knew I would get abducted, because I would get migraines and nosebleeds. Like when I was 10, I think, maybe between 9 and 11, I had surgery in my nose because I used to have so many nosebleeds, and I think they took a chip out of my head sort of thing. It's very much like the X-Files stuff with what was going on back then, right? So yeah, I'd been through my own stuff and that. So all of this stuff is probably relevant to you as well, right? But getting back to what happened with Captain Marvel and imparting all this intel that I collected, that I didn't know I collected, and all this epic targeting and effort. So what I mentioned about the dream and then stuff happening in my world, it was like there's a butterfly effect as well. So if we're having an effect, then it ripples back, and it's the structure, the coordination of all the stuff, like in my local reality versus doing something out remote on the multi-D. It's all giving us intel of the coordination of things, which I sort of alluded to last time, right, in the last video. But yeah, what happened was, I'll probably get into this in more detail, but I knew I was busting the next agreement of the government with the invaders of planning invasion and what they were going to do to us as humanity, like trading us for DNA, for technology and stuff. And so the first interaction with an ally, like we worked out, it was like all about the plan for the next invasion. But then with Captain, we busted it all, we put them all into pure source spiritual assembly. And instead of the significance here is instead of the long rectangle table with all the species around it, we actually brought Earth in. And she was like, nah. You imagine she's gone through this millions of times, millions of years, and nothing's ever happened or improved, and she's over it, alright? Earth boss is in the house. You don't frack with Earth Mother now, alright? And as I said, she's been fracked with, alright, with the Dreamtimes and stuff, but, so this is a big thing. So instead of the round table, so this is a big thing, alright? Instead of the long rectangle with, let's go Brandon and the head of all that apparatus of the control of Earth, alright, on an energetic collective level, Earth Mother came in and instigated a round table, all right? So it's round table with certain beings at it and her at it as well. So this shit can't be done. And so there's people like very rich people doing space stuff, all right? That people think in the narrative that they're on our side and stuff. Like, just remember, having a lot of money has a lot of energetic potential of doing good and stuff. So the system would never allow that, okay? So you can't trust. And then we saw all the collectives behind those beings and stuff, all right? And so they're all, you know, tips of the iceberg of collectives that are working with their negative species, wanting all this sort of stuff. There was a lot of tech exchange and a lot of highly advanced, has no right to be on Earth's mother surface. This is being employed for control at the moment. So that all got busted and audited and all that sort of stuff. As I mentioned about the suppressed sort of species that have no sovereignty and all that, a lot of them were all given the option to be clear, and the anti-gods, we found more targets with them and audited and dusting them and all this sort of stuff. This all instigated a whole next level of stuff going on. And my attitude, it's like, I don't know if you were kids growing up in tables, but there are always little kids tables in the adults. I think we're going to put a round table for the invaders as a little kids table with no authority. They can have their own table and think they're in their own thing, but they're actually the little brats that have no power, all right? But yeah, like, I hope you appreciate that, of how significant this is and the momentum of the building of all this sort of stuff. And my own metaphoric journey, and, you know, this isn't all about me. I'm just a metaphor of this, but I've earned this responsibility through my dedication and thoroughness and all I've invested and imparted in, you know. So it's as the role of guardian of Earth sort of thing, the pure source guardian, right? Just the chipping away of all the foundation and structure. A byproduct of that is me getting my dreaming remote sort of stuff back, right? That I feel was all stolen from me. Plus all the hacking and code stealing. And yeah, another big thing is, and this is thanks to Captain, is the abundance tech. And there's been like a distortion of an overlay of a fake grid versus our abundance sort of ability and stuff. So there's been imagine if our abundance is meant to be like this and there's a fake one over it. It's just a bit of jar sort of thing, and then that one goes off to another stream. So a lot of us have had our abundance stolen and all this sort of stuff. So all of this got realized and all of that, and there's many more things. It's getting dark, but the significant thing about this and why it's been so epic and challenging, and like I said, the Earth Pranic healing about clearing her and her dream, and it felt like there was a lot of distortion coming through the Earth, through some negative grid, weaponizing people around us and stuff, and then it get into people and then targeted as well. So a great many variables here relative to the Dreamtime. And as I say, I just want, leave me the frack alone, Dreamtimes, alright? So but I feel like the whole construct relative to our potential in the Dreamtime has been dismantled. And so our Dreamtime potential has been liberated on another level. So there may be a lot more organic dreams without... I've had some people talk about dreams where and I would trust them that they have been pure. I'm not going in and trying to have any connections. My boundaries have to be very tight and stuff with all of this going on, and I have to be a bit elusive and stuff still at the moment. But I am better than I've been in, you know, as I sort of had all these personal victories I offer and discoveries and stuff. There has been positive potential Dreamtimes, but they've been infiltrated by frackers sort of thing. So I just have the discernment, if you feel that I'm in your dreams at a very high level, that it's actually me, and you will feel whether it's me or not, you know. But I would just put the relevance of that data at a very low level until things get clearer and stuff. But don't distrust what you're getting, okay? Trust yourself, and you might have the perception that we've all been waiting for, sort of thing. So I really want to instill that, as I said at the start, the metaphor of it all got to percolate through and stuff. You know, a lot of dodgy stuff was still getting away when Earth has been clouded and obfuscated so she can't see in that, but violation is a short shelf life, alright? And the cost of violation, if we're invoicing 1 trillion times its cost and stuff, and one of the big things we've been taken care of in the last couple of months is all the negative mind control sort of stuff. So I'll just offer that, say for us, we've had the most polarity against us we've ever felt sort of thing, but it's also, you know, the system having a tantrum because we've kicked a hornet's nest with taking care of these collectives and stuff. So we've taken a lot of the focus, but perhaps you've had next level craziness going on with you, but also just see how you feel in yourself. You're probably more solid than you've ever been and feeling better and clearer. And one of the things is like, you feel like you're not any different, but you're here and everyone used to be here, but all of a sudden everyone seems slow. They can't get it. But I would just say that's an expansion of your awareness of being your genius in the reality where everyone else is like falling back, right? Those sort of things are going on, and perhaps you trust yourself like never before. Perhaps you're finding your self-authority and anchoring your potential, a bit like, I'll just show you the image, it's dark, but I'll show you an image I showed in the last one. So this is the metaphor of like doing the fracture barrier where we're able to maintain ourselves. There might be incursions and stuff, right? But there's all sorts of variables of degrees of separation. They're being targeted and stuff going at us, right? To undermine us. But the effect is, your sensitivity might go off the charts. So the effect might feel like it's the same level of effect, but resolving it doesn't have the ability to maintain its violation of you, and you return to your epicness pretty easily. So I would just offer another variable going on is our sensitivity has gone off the charts, like our tech of sensing this, to be able to push back the collectives and defend Earth. Everything is on our side, right? So I'll just show another image quick that I showed in the last one, because this is dark now, but it will be next to me so you have some context. So this one is about the Guardians defending Earth and pushing all this stuff back. So just realize it's probably been brutal for you. I offered a lot in this in Galactic Special Forces 32 that I did last week. That this is what's been going on, and we've never had this strategic alignment with pure source and Earth source connected and stuff, right? So as I showed earlier about Earth being targeted and stuff, it's like we've never had a connection to her like we've had, right? And she's never been able to get through us to like we've had at this time. So while everything seems epic and all that, we have so much on our side we've never had. It's like we are the ones that the multiverse has been waiting for, guys, right? So yeah, this big dream about defending Earth and defending humanity, about busting the government, they copped it. Absolutely freaking copped it, and they're pissed. But it's like, dilly gaff, we do not give a shit. Like, the universe is done with you, Earth is done with you, she does not want this. And thanks to all your frackery, the byproduct is we're the pure source diamonds that the multiverse has been waiting for, right? So I hope this inspires you. Take this data away, see what happens. It's a very interesting thing, alright? The day I did this with Captain, I haven't looked at Lisa Renee at all, alright? But she put out an article relative to how the government agreement with the Invader species in the 1930s. So the reason why I'm just offering that is there's a perception of something's happened, so the need to put that out, but there's no context that we've actually busted it all, alright? So I would just offer that perhaps there's people with barometers that don't have the awareness to sense things, but they're actually, you know, in the ballpark sort of thing, alright? So that was an interesting thing of, say, for us, and I've got this blog called Circle of Dolphins that I look at now and again. Hadn't looked at anything from Lisa for 6 months, just decided I'd look, and the very day that we did it, she was like saying that about the government agreements and stuff. So there's been like AI stuff that she talked about on the same day that have had victories and all that sort of stuff in the past. So yeah, it's quite dark, as you see, and I've managed to fit it in, and I may expand upon this a lot more in the future, but I hope this is very rich. I hope this empowers you, and those with epic perceptions and the regions of the earth, go and check yourself and see what you're getting, and add this data to the overlay of all your algorithm of your perception mechanics and stuff now. And I'll just use the ballpark of it was in May, but let's see what happens going forward, guys, right? So thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. Thanks for all you're doing that you don't know. And I hope these last couple of videos have added weight to maybe you've been at the lowest point. It seems like there's no hope and everything is against us. But we have been the hope. And we've got so much in the unseen on our side, it's ridiculous. So doing this instinctively when it matters, we'll be able to have an epic fracker party, you know, at some point. But at the moment it's about remaining solid, remaining vigilant, like take you to the next level. I hope this really gives you another gear and you go off and initiate the acceptance of all the gifts and talents and support that is out there waiting for us to accept it, right? So thanks for being here. Thank you for allowing me to being a part of your journey as always, guys. And I hope this really inspires you to take it to the next level. And until next time, the epic brat from down under, wishing you all the best. Take care. See you next time. Andre out.
Everything's gonna be alright tonight. Oh yeah, my love for you is gonna keep on rising. The sun's gonna keep on shining. Bright days on the horizon. My love for you will keep on rising. Everything's gonna be alright. The sun remember, heading for the city lights. 975, we're sharing each other, mirrors and father, scent of the lemon drips from your eyes. We are the people that rule the world, fostering in every boy and girl, all rejoicing in the world. Take me now. We can try a little adventure, love in summer, follow the sun tonight, reminiscing of the times of life. For each every other, the feeling is stronger. Shock at 11, got lost in your eyes. Can't do why when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can't you be believing now? Can't do why when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can't you be believing now? Can you remember in human nights? It was to where we'd energize, lie in the sand and visualize like it's 75 again. We are the people that rule the world, fostering in every boy and girl, all rejoicing in the world. Take me now. We can try. Can't do why when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can't you be believing now? Can't do why when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can't you be believing now? Everything about you, know everything about me, know everything about us. I know everything about you, know everything about me, know everything about us. Can't do why when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can't you be believing now? Can't do why when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can't you be believing now?
John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite, that we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.